Two things I'm excited about right now. The double closing is one, which I believe is the premier acquisition technique for buying real estate with no money down. The thing that makes it unique is you don't have to have any collateral or any cash in the bank to use the technique.
The double closing is a great concept. The REOs, and if you know the techniques of taking advantage of those, is a great way to go. The government loans, I mean, I talked to a guy just last night who had an old crummy apartment building, went to the government loan office, knew what to ask for, knew what to say, ended up with a 3% loan, 20-year 3% loan.
Okay, there's two concepts that I'm really excited about. One is a pre-foreclosure technique that I use, and this is how to eliminate all of your competition before a property actually goes to the courthouse steps for bid. Right now, foreclosures are at their highest rate since they've been in years, so it's a good opportunity there. The other area that I teach is the one that actually initially made me $117,000, and this is a government-insured program that anybody can take advantage of.
The other one is a matching technique I call the equity sharing. Probably the most unique use of an old concept, the partnership, that's ever been devised. It could help a young person get into a home, help a doctor become involved in real estate without the hassles of management, and for the individual homeowner, it'd be a unique method for selling one half of your own home to create an income without renting the home out.
The last one that excites me, in fact, I heard somebody recently say that they hate real estate, but they're still in it. And I kind of feel that way sometime when it comes to the property management. But the property management can be exciting, again, if you know the techniques. The simple technique of having the right form and screening the tenant in initial stages saves you a lot of hassle, and that's probably the biggest reason people stay out of property, is because of the conceived or the perceived hassle with tenants. It's not there if you know how to handle them in the beginning. Screen those tenants, have the right forms, have the right documents, and you solve your problems. In solving problems and making big money, that's what real estate's about to me, and that's exciting.
Welcome to The Courage to be Rich. My name is Danny Kramer, and for the next 30 minutes, we're going to be investigating an amazing phenomenon taking place all over the country. Right now, you can pick up almost any newspaper in any city in America and find an advertisement for a real estate seminar. Each ad claims that it's possible to become wealthy in today's economy and that by attending a seminar you can learn how it's done. They almost all tell the story of some average American who was barely getting along, who by chance stumbled into real estate and ended up making a fortune. Now, if you've been tempted to go to one of these real estate seminars because your own financial situation could use some improvement, well, you're not alone. Last month, over 20,000 people, just like you, attended one of the real estate seminars that you've seen advertised. Now, what we want to know is this. Why are thousands of Americans flocking to real estate seminars? Are the seminars valuable or just a ripoff? Do the techniques that are taught really work? And is real estate something that perhaps you and I ought to at least look into? Well, to help answer these questions, I've invited into the studio Mr. Randall D. Smith, the nation's leading organizer of real estate seminars. Also, Mr. Mark Harrelson, publisher of the Financial Freedom Report. Mr. Russ Whitney, and Mr. David Shammy, two of the featured lecturers at some of these seminars. Welcome, gentlemen.
Thank you.
Okay, Randy, I understand you're the organizer of the nation's largest real estate seminar program. What exactly is the Courage to be Rich seminar?
Danny, for the last 6-7 years, people have been making a lot of money in real estate. And they learned those techniques by attending seminars, but the seminars cost a lot of money to attend. They would cost you anywhere from $300 to $500 to attend for a full day. And we were sponsoring those seminars. About a year ago, we got this idea. We were sitting thinking one day, and we said, what would happen if we offered that seminar absolutely free? In other words, anybody could come and stay all day and learn the same techniques we'd been charging $300 to $500 for. So we thought the only thing that would probably keep people from coming is if they lacked a little bit of courage. So we called it the Courage to be Rich seminar. It's a full-day real estate seminar. Starts at 8 o'clock in the morning, goes till 5 o'clock at night. 4 speakers, 8 hours of instruction, and it's absolutely free.
You know, I've done a lot of fun and interesting things in my life, and many of them have made me a great deal of money. I know money isn't everything, but it does give you a lifestyle that most people only dream of. Not long ago, I met this man, Mark Harrelson, in San Diego, where we were both speaking. Mark is one of those people who's discovered the financial formulas that will help the average person achieve total financial freedom. And believe me, they work. So I'd like to introduce Mr. Harrelson.
Thanks, Eric. You know, there are many people willing to show you how to become financially free, but it usually ends up costing you $300 or $400 to learn their secrets. And I've given those same kind of expensive seminars. But if you're one of those people who can't afford or don't want to pay that kind of money, then I want to talk to you. I'm going to try a test. I'm going to let you attend the same all-day $395 seminar absolutely free. Sure, I hope you buy my book while you're there, and I promise I won't try to sell you another seminar. And just imagine what you'll learn by being there.
Mark, about 6 years ago, you wrote a best-selling book which taught people how to get into real estate. Why do you think so many people are suddenly interested in real estate?
In the last 6 or 7 years, you can't hardly go anywhere and talk to someone that's not making money in real estate, in big money. And so there's been just a huge flood of seminars and seminar attendees because people want to know how to do it. And people are finding out that it's not as complex and as hard as it seems to be. I know when I first heard the word real estate, I thought, oh, that's complex. I have to fill out forms. I have to deal with tenants. And it sounded so hard that I didn't want to do it. And until I met, in fact, my story is I met a fellow by the name of Larry Rosenberg in Denver, Colorado. He had made $1 million in 13 years. That really grabbed my attention, and that got me involved. And he was my teacher, and he got me involved, and I made a lot of money. And then, of course, I wrote the book that you referred to, and have gone from there. So I think that's the reason. People, it's working. And when something works, people want to, everybody wants to get in on it.
Okay, now you speak at a lot of the seminars, and if I were to come to one of yours, what would I learn from you?
You would learn the basics, starting right from the beginning of what to do, how to fill out forms, how to make offers, and very simple things. Now, our format is not just a very stilted, boring format. We have a lot of interaction. It's really an expanded workshop. For example, one of the things I do in the seminar, I'll reach into my wallet to make one point. If I can get into my wallet here, and I'll say, all right, to make the point of action, here's a $20 bill. Who wants it? And what happens, and I won't, after the show, I won't be able to do this again, is nobody will do anything other than raise their hand and say, I want it, and then I just wait, and I wait until somebody comes out of the audience and takes it out of my hand. Now that's just one little technique. We use overlays in slides, in demonstrations, in interaction, role-playing with the audience, because nobody wants to go and sit and listen to a boring speaker. We have exciting speakers that use these kind of demonstration techniques to make the points. So we would walk you right through sample deals and real deals and have you meet other people there. And it's really a working relationship we have with the audience. So when they walk out of that room that evening, they know what to do that very night. They can get on the phone that very night. They can start writing letters. They can call realtors. They can call bankers. They know and have a plan of action to get set and to start making big money immediately.
I'm glad you mentioned that about speakers, because I've been to some seminars that really can cure my insomnia, and I wanted to ask Randy, what kind of people, what types teach your seminars?
We have, as I mentioned, 4 different speakers at a given seminar. And we have 2 criteria that we use choosing our speakers. Number 1, they have to be able to teach. They have to be able to motivate, get people excited. They're good speakers. But secondarily, and probably even more important than that, is each one of them is a person that is right now investing in the real estate market and has done very well at it. There's some seminars going around that they're using speakers that are actors, that look good, that sound good, but they've never invested, or people that invested 20 years ago and made a lot of money way back when it was easy. Well, our speakers are people that have made it happen in the last few years, and that's why we've asked Dave and Russ to come today. They're our featured speakers, and when you talk to them, you'll find out that it's something that they are doing on a daily basis. They're not just teachers, but they're actually out there making the money in real estate.
Well, let me ask you, Russ, obviously none of us have ever totally been in what we're in forever. What did you do before you're a young guy, what did you do before you got into real estate?
I was actually working in a slaughterhouse in upstate New York at 20 years old, and I had not graduated high school, and I was really disgruntled with the job. I just felt that I could do something better with my life, and I started cutting out a lot of these get-rich-quick ads that you see in the back of magazines. I'm sure you've seen them, the mail order millions and things like that. And I saw an ad about a book on real estate investing, and I sent for the book. And I read the book, and I started applying some of those techniques. And I was married now at 20 years old. And I had bought a house. My wife and I had bought an old junky house, and I used one little technique that I learned in that book, and I made $11,000 in tax-free cash, not much more than 3 weeks after I got the book. And I expanded on the techniques, and through some of the same techniques that we teach at the seminars, the ones that I've done myself, that first year and a half, I bought over $1 million worth of income-producing property with literally no money down. I made $117,000 in tax-free cash. So at age 23, I was able to quit that job in the slaughterhouse, financially independent with the real estate holdings, and then I've continued my investments to where they are today.
Why real estate instead of, say, stocks or gold or any other investment? Why real estate?
In my opinion, it's the only calculated investment that an average guy can make with his seed capital or his little bit of savings if he wants to use that. You can calculate before you ever make the investment whether or not you're going to make money. For me, an average guy, I just probably at that time didn't have the intelligence to do anything other than real estate, and now learning all the benefits and becoming a little more sophisticated, I know I wouldn't do any other investment than real estate. I've tried the stock market. I can't say the stock probably, but I've lost my money in stock, and I've bought some gold when it was high and went low, and I just haven't found another investment that I could make at this point in time better than a real estate investment. None that have made me as much money.
The amount of risk that you take in real estate is so much smaller than stocks and bonds and gold and silver and all those other things. And it boils down to, in fact, one of the things that I remember the most from the first book I ever read on real estate is one thing, and that is if you go to a bank and ask them to loan you money on real estate, let's say in a small apartment building, 2 units, 4, whatever, they will loan you between 80 and 95% of the value. Why do they lend you that much? Because the risk is so low. So the bankers know, the most conservative people in the world know where the risks are and where they're not. And so for the average guy starting out, first of all, it takes hardly any money of his own, and sometimes none, and he can control his investment, which you can't do with stocks and bonds.
Yeah, I've heard for the average Joe, as far as real estate is concerned, that's really our only chance for financial freedom. Do you agree with that?
I heard it said once that the only chance that most of us have to ever be wealthy is to either inherit or marry it. And most of us have blown those two, okay, at this point already. You know, for the person that's working 9 to 5, we don't have a lot of extra time to go out and try and make money in other ways. A second job working down at the 7-Eleven store just isn't going to do it. And we're not going to get into the big money ideas of going out and investing in silver mines. So for most people in the United States today, really the only opportunity they're ever going to have is in the real estate market, because you can do it in your spare time. And luckily you can go to a seminar for 1 day and learn almost everything you need to know to go out and get started. That's very rare.
That seminar's not going to cost me anything.
Not a cent.
The question of the day, if you guys are so rich, what are you doing giving seminars? And what are you, I mean, you're giving a free seminar. You do make money. What are you in it for?
What we try and do is create a learning experience for people. If you remember your college days, you went and you listened to lectures, then you went home and did your homework. We tell the people that if you're going to do something, be the very best at it. We try and give them a learning experience. We bring the best people in the country to come in and talk to them. Then in the back of the room, we've created what we call the Wealth Resource Center. What it is a bookstore. It's a traveling bookstore. There are books and tapes and home study courses that aren't available in any bookstore in the country. And our attendees are eligible to go back and take advantage of this bookstore. And they'll go back and they'll buy home study courses and extra books and tapes and motivation tapes to keep them going. That's how we pay for the seminar. Many times we'll just break even. But, you know, we've been in the business now nearly 10 years. We plan on being in it for another 70 or 80. These people that come are going to be our customers. We're forming a relationship that we want to continue. We're hoping that they'll come in and get excited about something, then they'll come back and see us again. They'll come back to another seminar, or they'll write us and ask for a book. That, in the end, is how we make it a profitable experience. But it is free. You can walk in and you can leave without spending a cent.
You know, I've done a lot of fun and interesting things in my life, and many of them have made me a great deal of money. I know money isn't everything, but it does give you a lifestyle that most people only dream of. Not long ago, I met this man, Mark Harrelson, in San Diego, where we were both speaking. Mark is one of those people who's discovered the financial formulas that will help the average person achieve total financial freedom. Believe me, they work. So I'd like to introduce Mr. Harrelson.
Thanks, Eric. You know, there are many people willing to show you how to become financially free, but it usually ends up costing you $300 or $400 to learn their secrets. And I've given those same kind of expensive seminars. But if you're one of those people who can't afford or don't want to pay that kind of money, then I want to talk to you. I'm going to try a test. I'm going to let you attend the same all-day $395 seminar absolutely free. Sure, I hope you buy my book while you're there, and I promise I won't try to sell you another seminar. And just imagine what you'll learn by being there.
Dave, you're a wealthy man. You've made a lot of money in real estate. What are you doing giving seminars?
It's fun. I love to teach people how to make money. I love to entertain. I love to make people laugh. I love the applause at the end. I love the results of my teaching. I just entertained one of my students in my home this week for a little holiday. The man's from Houston. He heard my seminar 1 year ago, quit his job, became a full-time real estate investor, and has purchased $4 million worth of real estate. He's 20 years old. That's exciting to me.
Mark Harrelson, for the average person, myself, television viewers, I've heard that real estate is really the only chance for financial freedom for that type of person. Do you agree with that?
I really do. Of course, I'm biased because that's the business I've been in, and that's where I made all my money. But in fairness, looking back a few years, it wasn't many years ago that I was where everybody else was, hadn't made any money, and I was looking at everything that was possible to invest in, and real estate was the answer that kept coming up. And I remember exactly the feeling and the questions I had, and that as soon as I get in the real estate market, then it's going to go down. And that's a feeling I find that is common to everybody. You know, as soon as I buy that stock, it's going to go down, or as soon as I change and start buying real estate, it's going to go down. But it's an amazing thing. We look back and we say, boy, if I'd only bought that property 6 months ago or 6 years ago. And that keeps happening and happening and happening. And one of the reasons real estate is so desirable, and I mean, it's the best deal that I've seen in 20 years, and it stays the best. And the reason is the risk is low, number one, but see, when you can finance a property because of the low risk with 10% down or nothing down or 20% down, a slight increase in the value of the property, and I wish I had a chalkboard and I could show you, but a 10% increase in the value of a property that's leveraged 10 to 1, if I only have to put 10% down and we have inflation at 10%, that doubles your return on your investment. In other words, if you'd put $10,000 down, you now, with only a 10% inflation over 1 or 2 or 3 years, whatever it took, you've just turned the $10,000 into $20,000. Now, I'm not a great mathematician, but I understand that if I put 10 in and get 20 back, that's good.
Russ, in the seminars which you teach, are you going to explain to us how we can go about getting
Absolutely.
money, how you can leverage, how you can fix up, how you get tenants?
What I do in my seminar is probably different than any of the viewing audiences probably ever seen. I don't mean that to pat myself on the back, but when I first started in real estate, I took a picture of every property before and after, from the first property right on up to right now into multi-million-dollar investments. But I show on that slide projector the first property, the second property, right on through, how I bought them, the technique that I used to buy it, how I leveraged the money out. You would be amazed that after seeing that presentation, even you, Danny Kramer, for instance, to see that presentation, you would go back, I think, to your neighborhood or to wherever you live, and you'd be looking at properties with a whole different perspective. It's just a matter of being enlightened into a different area of investing. 7
years ago, I had no money. I didn't own a car. I didn't own my home. I didn't live in a home that I was buying. I didn't have any money in the bank, no net worth, so to speak. I had a credit card with a $300 limit and a $300 balance. And I read a not too obscure statistic that said only 2.5% of this nation's college graduates will be financially secure by the time they reach age 60. I was a little concerned. I didn't have a college degree, and I figured the odds weren't better for me. And I was correct in so assuming. I looked around at people who had achieved the goal of financial independence. The common denominator was investing. People who are financially successful do things other than work at a job to achieve that. And I decided that's what I was going to do. The problem was all the good investments seemed to require a lot of money. I didn't have any. And I think my first great attraction to real estate was the concept taught in a seminar I attended that you could buy it with no money down. That fit within my budget plan.
My father-in-law, for instance, bought a house 12 years ago. And the house he paid $12,000 for is worth $75,000 today. Now he's retired from the slaughterhouse. He worked there 22 years. And he's got a pension, and he gets his Social Security, which is not enough to really live very good on. Had he bought one house, just one more house 12 years ago, that's worth $75,000, that's paid off like his is, that would give him $75,000 of a nest egg right here today that he could use as an investment or passive income or what have you. So I would say, time and money-wise, one or two more houses could make a major difference in someone's financial security 10 years from now.
Mark, I know at your seminars you can have a lot of insight and a lot of secrets, if I may use that word. But one thing that I'm sure is a burning question for television viewers and seminar attendees alike, you hear about no money down deals. Do they exist? And if you don't mind, give me an example.
Okay. They definitely exist. In fact, I'm a consummate skeptic, and I probably, like you and many of the viewers, didn't think they did before I got involved. It just seemed too good to be true. But I found out when I got involved, not only do they exist, but you can actually, again, if you know the techniques, buy a property and the time you close, actually put cash in your pocket. One particular deal I had, I ended up with $55,000 cash in my pocket at the closing, and I was buying. Now, you know, I think that kind of answers the question, or should, of why, you know, right now in the United States, only 15% of the entire population have $5,000 or more in savings. Now, since that happens to be a fact, I read just the other day, most people need to know how to buy with no money down, because 85% of us don't have even $5,000, so we need to find these techniques. But they work. They're being used by common people, by just ordinary people, by women, men, all ages, and you just have to know the technique of going in and finding the property. One of the keys, by the way, and this is not a technique, but a key, is finding the so-called motivated seller. Here again is a truth. Most people can identify with this. Stop and think right now. How many times you've seen an ad in the paper for a car? It says, take over my payments. Help, let me out. You find the same thing in property if you know where to look and how to negotiate.
People have a wrong impression of no money down deals. When we talk to an average person, or when I talk to an average person that you can buy property with no money down, there generally would be skepticism there. Yes, in a desperate situation, you can buy no money down deals, but no money, quote, doesn't necessarily mean that no money transfers. The basis of some of the secrets that have made a lot of us rich in real estate are how to use techniques to get you money, to borrow money, or leverage money to use as down payments on property. A lot of my investments were made with money, however, none of my own money. I've developed, I'd say at least a good 7 or 8 techniques that can take an average person and show him how to use the property as collateral to borrow the money for the down payment.
Randy, should people be afraid to go to a real estate seminar?
If I could go into a living room and talk to you in person as we're talking here today, I'd say, you know, you've got to do something in your life. Something has got to change if you're going to have a better future. Now, there's a lot of alternatives. There's a lot of choices. Real estate can be one of them. Why not at least find out what it's about? But I'm not going to ask you to risk $500 like some people do. That's not fair. What if you got there and you didn't like it? $500 is a lot of money. Why not come and risk 8 hours? Come and listen to Dave, listen to Russ, listen to Mark, listen to our other expert speakers, and then you decide. You decide whether you want to go back and take home a bunch of books and tapes to make you be better. You decide, but at least the decision is yours. You know, right now, I read a statistic the other day that nearly half of all the property in the world is owned by 2% of its population. 2% of the people own half of everything, all the houses, the apartment buildings, whatever. That can be shared. It is possible for you to own some of that, and for that person out there to own some of that. Why not come and see if this isn't for you? And I'd sure invite you to do it.
Thank you, gentlemen. Today we've had the opportunity of talking to some of the speakers at the Courage to be Rich seminars. Now let's go to an actual seminar and talk to some of the attendees and see what they have to say about real estate investing seminars and a person's chances of making money in today's economy.
They couldn't make a better investment. I really believe with the information you get here, if it doesn't change their life, then they're crazy.
But for really all intents and purposes, I'd have to say that we found everything that we really require within the scope of this seminar.
This is the most fabulous place to go to get ideas, to guide them, and to inspire them.
But I'd have to say what's really kept me going and where I've gotten my best ideas is from Harrelson's books and seminars.
I'm not a realtor. I don't have a college education, don't have a degree, but I can take these principles and these techniques and I can make them work. See, it's like a road map. If you give me a good map, you show me how to get someplace with good directions, I can get there. But they have to be good directions. And that's what this is. This is a smorgasbord of the finest directions and the best road maps you can find to financial freedom. And it's available for anybody that has the courage to do it.
You know, I've done a lot of fun and interesting things in my life, and many of them have made me a great deal of money. I know money isn't everything, but it does give you a lifestyle that most people only dream of. Not long ago, I met this man, Mark Harrelson, in San Diego, where we were both speaking. Mark is one of those people who's discovered the financial formulas that will help the average person achieve total financial freedom. And believe me, they work. So I'd like to introduce Mr. Harrelson.
Thanks, Eric. You know, there are many people willing to show you how to become financially free, but it usually ends up costing you $300 or $400 to learn their secrets. And I've given those same kind of expensive seminars. But if you're one of those people who can't afford or don't want to pay that kind of money, then I want to talk to you. I'm going to try a test. I'm going to let you attend the same all-day $395 seminar absolutely free. Sure, I hope you buy my book while you're there, and I promise I won't try to sell you another seminar. And just imagine what you'll learn by being there.
What have we learned during the last 30 minutes? Well, let me try to summarize. 1, 9 out of 10 Americans will retire at or below the poverty level. Number 2, for most people, working a salaried job and depending on a payroll, Social Security, and pension is just not enough. Number 3, thousands of people are finding real estate investing to be an answer. Number 4, there are literally hundreds of real estate seminars being offered across the nation. Number 5, some seminars charge up to $500 to attend. Number 6, some seminars are free and offer the average person a great, no-risk way of finding out if real estate is for them. The advantages of investing in real estate seem to be 1, a long, safe track record. Number 2, a comparatively safe investment. Number 3, doesn't require a great deal of money. Number 4, it cuts your tax bill. Number 5, can be accomplished in your spare time. Number 6, can be done by almost anyone, anywhere. Number 7, extremely high return. And number 8, you can start with minimal training. I want to thank you for tuning in to this special program. It is my hope that each of you will find fortune in your future and that deep down inside, you'll find the courage to be rich.